Hello everyone, I am Vamshi and I welcome you all to my channel aspiring to achieve Upsc CSE. Now in this particular video, I would like to talk about a specific topic under GS paper 4 ethics. There is a topic on social influence and persuasion. So I would like to deal with this particular topic in this video. Now let's get start with the video. Now, before going to start with the video, let me show you what are the things we are going to deal in this particular video. Firstly, we would be understanding what persuasion means, and next we would be seeing what social influence means, and later we would be trying to understand the relationship between the social influence and persuasion, their differences, and lastly we would be trying to see what are the various methods of persuasion. In general, persuasion means to try convincing others to get the work done. Now, in order to understand this very well, there is a person named Perloff who has given a wonderful definition on what persuasion exactly means. In the words of Perloff, what persuasion is, it is a symbolic process in which communicators try to convince other people to change their attitudes or behavior regarding an issue through the transmission of a message in an atmosphere of free choice. In order to understand what exactly the definition means, let's take an example that let us suppose you are a working professional working in an MNC with having a good package. So, and at the same time, you are also having an interest in preparing for UPSC civils examination by resigning your job. Firstly, you would be trying to convince your parents for resigning the job and to prepare for examination. So in this process, the uh, the thing which you are convincing your parents is nothing but the persuasion. Means you are persuading your parents to uh, resign for your job and to prepare for the examinations. Means you are trying to convince your parents to get your work done. I hope this particular example gives you much idea on what exactly persuasion means. Now let's understand what social influence means. Social influence is nothing but it affects the attitudes or the behavior of others. Let us take an example. Now let us take the same example. You are a working professional with having a good package and working in an MNC, and if you are having 3 or 4 friends and who are fond of preparing for UPSC exam, by seeing them you might be also influenced for the same preparation of examination, where here you are being influenced by your friends for preparation of UPSC examination. This would be the social influence. This is irrespective of your interest. You are being influenced for preparing for UPSC examination. Or else let us take another example, like if there is any signature step of your favorite actor, and if there is a trend going on a social media app by imitating the same step, and if you are a person who likes to dance, you would also be trying to make that move. So you are being socially influenced over here. I hope this make you understand what exactly social influence means. Now, if we try to understand what is the relation between the social influence and persuasion, if we see the relation between the social influence and persuasion, persuasion is a form of social influence. So if you if you draw a diagram, if you want to draw a diagram, the relationship between social influence and persuasion, you can draw in this way. So persuasion is a form of social influence where it guides towards adopting an idea or else an attitude by rational terms. Now, having understanding about the relationship between the social influence and persuasion, which is where the persuasion is a form of social influence, it is obvious to get a doubt. Then, what is the difference? Why there are two terms like social influence and persuasion? There are certain differences where the social influence and persuasion can be differentiated. So, if we want to understand what is the difference between social influence and persuasion is, we can try to understand in these three terms like uh, consciousness, benefit, and rational approach. If we see social influence can be consciously happen or unconsciously can also be happen. Without knowingly, a person can get influenced around by his surroundings. But when it comes to persuasion, a person can only be consciously influenced. Whenever any person is trying to convince others, the person who is being getting convinced, that person would be using his consciousness regarding the message what the persuader is trying to explain them. So in this particular way, the social influence and persuasion would be differed. So social influence can be consciously or unconsciously happens, but persuasion can only happens through consciously. And the other difference where the social influence may benefit all at ends or may not, but in case of persuasion, as the person would be consciously taking the decisions, it would meant to benefit all at the end. The results would be beneficial to all. And the third difference between the social influence and persuasion would be social influence may be or may not be rational in its approach, but in case of persuasion, as the person would be consciously taking the decisions, and as the outcome of the decisions would be benefiting all, the approach of the persuasion would be rational. So rational is something innate to persuasion. I hope this helped you in understanding the relationship and the differences between the social influence and persuasion. Now, having said what is persuasion and social influence, and the differences and relationship between social influence and persuasion, let us now try to understand what are the various factors which can affect persuasion. Now, before understanding the factors which can affect persuasion, let us see in this way who are all the stakeholders involving in persuasion and social influence. So let us go in a stakeholder manner where where there would be a source and there would be a target and the message which the source would be delivering to the targeted person. So these three can act as a stakeholder in persuasion. Now, if we can see, intelligence is one of the factor which can affect persuasion. Let us suppose the source person has persuaded a message to the targeted person. Now the targeted person, as we have seen in the differences between the social influence and persuasion, one of the difference between them is persuasion can only be consciously. So whenever any person who is trying to convince the other person, the targeted person would be using his intelligence to analyze the message what the source person is trying to feed him. So intelligence would be one of the factor which would be affecting the persuasion. Next factor would be of self-esteem. Self-esteem would be one of the factor which can affect persuasion, and the mood of the person is also one of the factor which can affect the persuasion. And the trustworthiness, whenever any person who is a source is trying to persuade the targeted person, the targeted person should rely on the trustworthiness, or would be relying on the trustworthiness of the source as well. So here trustworthiness is also one of the factor which can affect persuasion, and credibility of the source would be also taken into consideration by the targeted person, so that the credibility is also one of the factor which can affect persuasion. So by this we have come to the end of the video, and I hope this particular video has found informative. Thank you all, and we'll meet you again in the next video.